All right, everybody, 2 o'clock. Welcome back to the ME490 Senior Design Seminar. Just a couple of announcements first before we get started. Your problem statements were all due today. I think everybody got them in, so that's good. If you didn't, what are you doing? Come on, get them in. All right. Right, so you guys should all have a pretty good idea of problem statement and should sort of be formulating some designs at this point, hopefully with the help of your advisors. Okay, we have very special guests today. Two members of the MSOE Library are going to give our talk today. And the topic today is conducting an effective literature search. And I think Lindsay's going to lead the discussion. So we have Miss Lindsay Bastian and Gary Shimek from the MSOE Library. I think Lindsay's going to give the talk. Is that right, Lindsay?
Oh, yep, that's right.
Okay, great. So Lindsay's prepared a series of PowerPoint slides for the talk today, and I've uploaded them just a few seconds ago to the MS Teams sort of group file folder for the senior design. So if you want to follow along that way, you can do that. Otherwise, I think Lindsay's probably going to share her screen and sort of talk over the slides. So if you guys are ready, Lindsay, I'll get out of the way and say thank you for agreeing to do this, and go ahead and take it away whenever you're ready.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Bastian at the Walter Schrader Library at MSOE, and I have a presentation for you about library resources and how they can help you with your senior design projects. So, let's see.
I know it's not ideal because you can't see all of them, but I promise you they're there.
No worries. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay.
Looks good. We can see it.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I was looking for presenter view because I found it earlier and whew, I was not going to be good without that. All right. So, all right. Basically, the whole goal of this presentation is to just familiarize you guys with some of the most useful resources that the library can provide you and help through your senior design project. So there is that. So there are 3 different quarter-long classes that address your senior design project, and they are aptly called Senior Design 1, 2, and 3. And each one has a unique written deliverable sort of at the end of it. And so Senior Design 1 is a detailed proposal for your project. And Senior Design 2 is design work and a project report. And then Senior Design 3 is the final design work and the presentation. And so, as you've probably noticed, these deliverables all rely heavily on written and verbal communication skills. The focus of the project will be your own ideas and your own problem solving and work, of course, but the bulk of the supporting materials for it can be found using our library resources. So basically, your own original research is obviously the star of the project, but if you can't clearly present your ideas and findings, all that hard work is for nothing. For example, it's great to get the math right, and you really should, but if you can't effectively explain to another person sort of why those numbers are important and what they mean, the other person can't appreciate all the hard work that you've done and how significant your findings are. So this extends to the real world as well, because it's important to be able to effectively document and share your ideas with future employers, and pretty much a great idea that's poorly communicated is less likely to have as much of an impact. So it's important to be able to get those ideas across. And so the senior design project is your chance to practice writing types of documents.
I think we lost you there for a second there, Lindsay.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see. So the senior design project is your chance to practice writing the types of documents that you'll be most commonly writing in your future careers. So, um, do, do, do. Okay, so ultimately the project can be broken down into 5 main parts, and the first one is to clearly explain the purpose of the project. And so this involves explaining the problem or opportunity which your project seeks to address. Second, you should clearly explain why the problem or opportunity you have chosen to address is important. And for example, who's affected by this problem, how far reaching is the problem, what benefits will be gained by solving the problem. The third one is clearly explain the project objectives and what you're hoping to achieve. Ultimately, what are your goals in trying to find a solution? And fourth, it would be to clearly explain the scope of your project and any limitations that are associated with it. For example, these would be, what are the limitations of your solution? Are you limited by budget? Allowed environmental impacts? Do your chosen materials have stress limitations? Are there any related areas of research which could be better explored in future projects? And then last, of course, is always cite your sources. This lends credibility to your research, and it also lets future researchers looking into the same issues that you looked into sort of follow your tracks back to other useful resources. So there is that. And so ultimately, research does not happen in a vacuum. Your research and calculations will be stellar, but in order to make all of your hard work meaningful, you must also connect it to other research being done by others working on similar topics. And so this gives your project context. And so here's your topic. It'll be the center of your world for the next 3 quarters. And then here's context, which sort of surrounds your topic. It's all the information around it. So other research that's been done,
You muted yourself.
sorry.
Got you. Yeah, lost you on the mic again.
Ugh, okay. That's really weird. All right, cool. Sorry. So there is that. Let's see. Yeah, context surrounds your topic. And then comes literature, which is all of the published information about a topic, and it comes in many formats. And so conference proceedings, books, articles, records, project documentation, that sort of thing. And so, for example, you don't need to reinvent the wheel for your project. You could just cite a source that speaks to the research leading up to the particular wheel that you're using, and you can spend more time discussing your particular topic rather than sort of tracing that all the way back and being like, here's how this, this bit was invented, this bit was designed, that kind of thing. So then using literature about your topic, you can provide more context for your readers. So there's that big blue circle. Some more specific examples of context that library resources can help you sort of provide to your readers are like historical context of your topic. Why was research begun on this topic at all? What's been done in the field in the past? What have others found out about it? You can also define important concepts and terms, because not everyone is as familiar with the specifics of the topic as you are. And so you'll want to define acronyms, dedicate some space to describing specialized equipment or materials, and explain any specialized terminology you may use. There's also governing equations. You can provide context that way. And so even if the meaning of the equation seems obvious to you, you may want to spend some time explaining that and define the variables for your readers, so it's absolutely clear what you meant by using that. And also relevant or helpful data and statistics. For example, where did this data come from? Who collected it and why? And why is it significant to your project? So then there's more. The library can also help provide resources for relevant or helpful properties data. For example, why did you decide to select one material versus another? Relevant standards and codes, and these are the parameters which govern some of your solutions to the problem. Regulatory and legal issues, which are similar to standards and codes, and these should also help govern the direction you take with your solution. Life cycle and environmental issues, which includes which external factors affect your solution, which external factors are affected by your solution, and then the societal impacts of your solution, who benefits from your solution and why do they benefit. Excuse me. So then, of course, when you were using the library resources ultimately, or any other resources, you want to be sure to give credit where credit is due, and this is through your bibliography or sources cited page, or pages. And ultimately, citing your sources serves two main purposes. It acknowledges the importance of the research or data and gives the author or authors credit for their work. Ultimately, you'd feel bad if someone used your work without giving you credit. And number two, it allows readers of your final report to follow up with the sources you used to enrich their own research, as well as clearly see the external research which informed your conclusions. So basically, they can see sort of how you drew your conclusions and what you read to come to the conclusions you ultimately did. And so for a pro tip, if you find a really helpful article or book for your project, if you look at that author's citations, it may lead you to other helpful resources as well. So sort of moving forward by providing yours and looking backward at some of the resources, some of the things that sort of led into the resources you're using. And so when is it necessary to cite a source? While it would be impossible to compile all of the possible cases when a source should be cited, this list gets close. Generally, anytime your argument relies on someone else's work, or you include something which you did not create, you should include a citation to the source of that information. So basically, be sure to document and reference the source. If you directly quote another work or author, use a visual item from another source. If you include or rely on quantifiable data which you did not develop or derive, if you paraphrase another work or author, if you use another person's idea, if you discuss historical statements or data, or state a fact that is not widely known. So on to part two. So library resources will help to give your senior design project some context and to underline the importance of the work that you're doing. And so this next bit will touch on some of the most helpful library resources. So here's sort of a diagram of how our library tools are set up. At the top, we have the summon discovery search, and this tool ultimately searches all of the library databases and resources, physical and electronic. So all of your search results will include everything from the physical books that we have on our shelves to the newest e-journal articles. So then under Summon are the library databases, and they're basically collections of resources that we subscribe to and make available to the MSOE community. Generally, these are collections of ebooks and or scholarly articles, but they can contain other resources like videos or interactive tutorials. So our databases make resources that are usually paywalled off, accessible to you, basically. So if you've ever been just looking around online and gotten a page that says, you know, if you want to view this article, give us $35, and you can, that's a paywall. And so by subscribing to these databases, we ultimately make a lot of those sort of resources available. And so lastly, we have the individual resources. And so within the databases are the individual resources, and these can range from ebooks to videos to data sets to visualization tools to videos. These are basically the building blocks that you will use and cite to provide that context for the research side of your project. Excuse me. Okay, so this one is, this slide is more for sort of the PDF of the presentation. And so here's a slide with the same diagram, but with links to all the things, ultimately. So the top link goes to our library summon search, which searches everything. So searching that top one or searching the databases will give you the individual resources. And so there's 2 links for the overarching search, and then the second link is for our A to Z list of library databases. So it's just an alphabetized list of all of our databases. So it's sort of depending on however you want to search this stuff. So there's that. That's more of a reference slide. And then lastly, the best library resources, librarians. Ultimately, we have a lot of resources that cover a lot of ground, and you're going to need specific resources for your topic. And basically, we're here to help with that. Sort of, we know our resources pretty well, and feel free to ask if you're just starting out and you need sort of places to look for inspiration, or if you're trying to track down that last elusive article, get in touch with us here. And this is the link is to our virtual library site, and you can email us, call us, and there's even a form to set up a virtual reference meeting via Teams to sort of basically ask questions if you want to ask about resources, or sort of how to even start a research project. That's what we do, so we can totally help with that. So yeah, I mean, our most powerful search tools are available electronically, but there are a lot of options, and so we are happy to help. So there's that. All right, so on to our summon discovery search. So I'm going to go through our probably the most useful big picture resources that you'll probably end up using at some point during your research phase. And so I'm going to go through the slides for those, and then I'll just sort of walk through a demonstration of sort of how to go through those. So I guess the most powerful search tool we offer is our summon discovery search. And as I showed in that diagram before, it searches everything that the library has to offer across our databases, subscriptions, and even our physical library resources. Like Google, however, the more places the search pulls from, the more information you have to sift through to get what you want. And so the benefit of our summon search is that on the left-hand side, there's a way to sort of facet off things and narrow your results more so than Google sort of allows you to. And so, let's see. Yeah. So that's ultimately the overarching view of summon. I'll do a walk through that in just a sec. Then next, another useful resource that you may use in your research time is our e-resources A to Z tool. And it lets you search for the titles of e-journals. And this is really useful if you're sort of in those beginning stages of doing research and you're just sort of browsing and trying to sort of get a feel for your topic or what's sort of surrounding your topic. And so, or if you're chasing down something off of a sources list, the resources A to Z tool will return e-journal titles rather than the articles, the individual resources. It returns stuff sort of one level up, and it'll give you e-journals. And so there is the resources A to Z list. I will also show that one. And of course, we wouldn't be a library without a catalog search of the books on our shelves. And while a lot of sort of timelier information is available in the e-journals, don't discount our books quite yet. We do have a lot of technical publications and specialized documents on our shelves that are not available electronically. So it's worth searching the library catalog too if you're looking for something super specific or We have a lot of sort of big reference books for businesses and specifications and that kind of thing. And then the I guess final big resource that you guys will probably end up using at some point is our mechanical engineering guide. Basically, Denise, another one of our librarians, made a series of helpful guides based on MSOE majors, sort of curating specific resources towards that major. And so it's ultimately a list of the most useful databases, probably for your senior design project, I guess. And so there is that as well. So let me switch and I will do a quick walkthrough of using Summon. Okay. The heck? There we go. Okay. All right. Is that displaying properly?
Yeah, I can see it. Looks good.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So if you want to get to the library page from the main MSOE website, ultimately msoe.edu, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that front page, we have a library link, and then it goes to our sort of library, I don't know, landing page, I guess. But pretty much the most helpful link for you would be the library research site. And so this is where most of our good searches and and best tools sort of live. So there is that. And so let's see, Summon Discovery Search is sort of the default one. Here's the library catalog search as well. So it's just if you click these tabs, you can sort of search different things. We tried to sort of break them up in terms of like, what do you want to search? So ultimately Summon, again, searches everything. So I'm just going to do a quick search for 3D printing. And that brings back 300,000 results. And I did this search earlier in Google, and it brings back about 483 million results, just for a comparison there. So the benefit to using library resources is that the search results are geared for research information and towards stuff that we have, whereas Google results are sort of all over the map. People can sort of pay to sort of boost their results to the top of the list. There's, informal blogs, there's social media posts, and so the information is not quite as credible as sort of what we have to offer, I guess. And we're also not trying to sell you anything, so that's a bonus. So back to Summon, ultimately 300,000 titles is still a lot. And so Summon makes it easy to limit your results by these items on this side. They're called facets. And if we limit our results to full text online and scholarly and peer review, there's only 22,000 of them now. And it's still a lot, but they are ranked by relevance. You can see this little guy up there. And by checking the full text online, you can ultimately read it from right where you are. It means that you can have access to it sort of through our databases right now. And the scholarly and peer review ultimately assures you that the article or document has gone through some sort of it's gone through a process where other experts sort of look at it and go, yes, this information is credible. Yes, it is, a reputable source ultimately. And so on this side, we can also limit our results by content type. And so we have journal articles, magazine articles, conference proceedings, that sort of thing. So I'm going to limit this by journal articles. And that will, most of our journal articles are also available via PDF, which I tend to like, just being able to download a bunch of PDFs and sort of dig through them at my leisure. So that's useful, depending on sort of your favorite formats for conducting research. Let's see, under that comes the discipline facet. And so I'm going to limit my results. I mean, you have sort of 3D printing in engineering, in medicine, in biology, and chemistry, that sort of thing. So I'm going to click the medicine one to limit my results to 3D printing in the medical world, ultimately. And so that's brought our results right down to roughly 4,000 of them. And so by filtering down these results, we're not only sort of shrinking the number of items to look through, but we're also ensuring that those items left on our list are sort of getting more and more relevant to what we're looking for. And so the next facet to limit by is publication date. And so this is especially useful sort of in the science fields, because you can be sure to get stuff that is super recent. And so I'm going to limit this to the last 5 years to ensure that sort of the information that I'm looking through is up to date. So there is that. And then last is subject terms. And discipline is more sort of the big idea of the article, whereas these subject terms are more done by the frequency of how often the word will show up in the actual text of the article, that sort of thing. So I will click on medicine, and that brings me down to about 1,200 results, or yeah, 1,200 results. So there's that.
So if you just click on the article, does it like take you to the article?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You,
sorry,
have full access.
Yepers. It is. I can do that now. Yeah, so you can, if you click on the article title, you can check out the abstract right away.
Yeah.
And so it pops right up.
Yeah, that's nice. So normally something like this would be behind a paywall. Like if you're not on the MSOE network, you're at your own apartment, you're Googling stuff, you probably don't have access to this information. That's why the library is useful, especially going through this tool. You probably won't have access to this article if you weren't going through the library search tool. So that's important to consider.
Very true. Ugh, yeah. So there's that. If it looks good to you, there's a download. Sorry.
We have a question in the chat. One of the students asks if you want access to articles through like the library search program, will it work if you're on the VPN? Like if you're at home?
We recommend signing out of the VPN and just doing the where it has that Microsoft sign-in, the single sign-on option.
Yeah.
Our databases do tend to fight with the VPN occasionally, so we do recommend signing out of that.
Okay. So if you're off campus, you can go to the library website, use the search tool, and it will prompt you for your login credentials, like your
that is correct.
MSOE credentials. Okay. So that should answer your question there, Garrett.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, thank you. I've got like a bajillion things open and wasn't watching the chat. Thank you. So yeah, basically, the article page looks roughly the same in at least across article databases for the most part. I mean, there will be a cite button There'll be a way to download it usually. Sort of author names will be blue links, and so if you find an author who's sort of a influential person sort of in your field, you can sort of track down their stuff just by clicking their name, and it'll give you a list of their publications. Let's see, there's also related items that pop up in this database on the right hand side, and sort of these are other articles that sort of the background metadata has deemed potentially useful based on the background metadata of the article that you're viewing, or the citation for the article you're viewing. But so there's that.
Right. I think this could be potentially useful. I mean, I know there's a lot of senior design projects out there. For instance, I know there's one on ultrasonic welding. We don't have a lot of ultrasonic welding in the ME curriculum. Okay. So if you need to become an expert on ultrasonic welding, your best bet is to go to this library search tool, put in ultrasonic welding, and you're going to get a bunch of information that pops up. Books, current up-to-date journal articles on the topic, who's doing what in the field, what is the frequency of the ultrasonic tool that they're using, is that good, is that bad, why is that good, why is that bad? This is the place to go to have all that information at the ready, right? That's like one example that one group I know of has to work on. I feel that there are probably a lot of other examples like that. So you really should consider what is the state of the art in your current field of design, go to the library and actually do some searches to really understand and get a full grip about what currently exists so you're not redesigning the wheel. Okay? There you go. My 2 cents.
Very concise. Excellent. So yeah, basically that's this. The citation tool is nice because if you click on it, you can usually choose sort of whatever the standard is. I assume it's APA, one of the APAs. But basically you can either highlight it and just cut and paste it, or you can use citation manager stuff. And I think, I believe, I'll have to get back to you on the one we recommend. Zotero, maybe? Not sure. I'll get back to you on that. Sorry.
Yeah, I like Zotero. If you're looking at a resource management, Zotero is free and it's really easy to integrate with like Chrome and Firefox, where you're just at the website that has the particular resource of interest. You click a button and it auto-populates a reference for you. It's really quite nice. So Zotero's great.
Oh, rock on. Okay. Yeah,
Speaking
thank
from
you.
personal experience, I've written many journal articles. Zotero's the best.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry, I haven't had to sort of mass cite things in a while. Excellent. All right. So there's that as well. So then, okay, let's get out of this one and go back to, okay, so this is the library research page again. This was here. Actually, I can go back one more just to sort of familiarize with you with this. It's sort of the library research site, and then here is our e-resources A to Z search. This was that search I was talking about that will bring back journal titles rather than articles. And so if you're just kind of browsing for sort of idea, you have kind of a big idea topic and you're looking for more ways to sort of narrow down your research, this is a good way to start, is the A to Z search, e-resources A to Z list. And so you can sort of find journals in the big topic and then sort of even just browse through the articles, recent articles or whatever, and sort of narrow that. So, all right, so I'm going to do seeing it now. Oh,
Yeah, we got it back.
okay. All right. Sorry. I'm like, okay. Sorry about that. All right, so basically I got one journal, and down here it says that it is a peer-reviewed journal, and so I know that the information in it will be credible. And then below that we have different databases that we subscribe to, and the range of the issues of that journal that we have access to. And so in Biomed Central we have 2015 to the present, and in ProQuest we would have December 2015 to December 2016, and then in the other version of ProQuest we have January 2018 to the present. And so you sort of want to, I would recommend doing the ones to the present, but basically if you click into that you will see, hopefully, there we go. And so basically you can, using that tool, you can browse through sort of the different articles, different recent articles, sort of under that big overarching topic to sort of narrow your research in that way as well. So, all right. So then, last but not least, here is the mechanical engineering guide with sort of curated resources specifically for your major. And so these are the databases that ultimately would be the most helpful, and it's sort of a collection of all sorts of resources that will likely help you with your senior design project very much. So there is that. Here's sort of a list of databases that most sort of align with the average senior design project topics. So these are good places to start your research. If you don't, obviously, Summon Search is at the top because it searches all of these. But if you're looking more narrowly, these other databases are also good places to start for that. There's also, along these gray tabs at the top, if you prefer ebooks, we have lists of databases for those. Additional resources have sort of everything has, here are more databases. They all have a description, they all have a link to them. And go through and sort of see what aligns best with your particular topic. There's also a page for codes and standards. Chances are you'll need to use these in your project as well. So here's sort of our guides.
You will use them.
Pardon?
You will use codes and standards.
Oh, rock on. Excellent. Sorry. So this page will be really, really helpful. There is a link to it in the PDF as well. So, so there's that. And there's also a patents tab. So sort of, there's some, let's see, yeah, okay. There's some tutorial options for sort of how to search patents, and then there's some resources for finding patent information. We also have a tab for citations and references. Okay, there's Otero, and so we also have links to writing resources if that's a little bit, if that's sort of intimidating. There are resources to help with that as well. And then we do have help and FAQs, and here's sort of a guide to sort of off-campus access. And so we do have sort of screenshots and stuff for that as well. So anyway, that is the mechanical engineering guide. So let me go back to the presentation. And okay, there we go. Okay, and along with resources, we also do have services that will help you sort of connect you to the information you need. And okay. Shoot. Okay, so we have interlibrary loan and document delivery. And so if, I guess as you're looking through the cited resources for a source that you found, or if you're just Googling around to see what's out there, if you find a really good or a good looking resource, but you can't access it, or we don't have access to it through the library, you can request it, and we can get it from another library for you. And so if you're searching for the article in Summon and we don't have access to the full text, if you click on the search result, it will bring you to a page that prompts you to log into Clio, which is our interlibrary loan tool, where you can request that article from us. So you just fill out a form with as much citation information as you can, and then submit it, and we will track that down for you. And if you want to read all about your options for requesting and retrieving items from other libraries, you can visit our guide, Borrowing from Other Libraries, as well. We do have sort of partnerships with local libraries. If you're more inclined to sort of physically show up at another library, we have sort of partnerships with them as well. And so if you don't want to fill out the form, you can email interlibraryloan@msoe.edu and make a request for the item as well. We recommend that you cut and paste the citation information for the item, sort of title, author, publication year, into the body of the email with your message, and that makes everything a lot easier to track down. So there is that option. And so we also have library resources to help with your writing. If this sort of seems like a daunting writing process, we do have resources to sort of help you sort of get a little bit more familiar with writing something sort of on this size, or sort of style guides and that kind of thing. So this is more, I guess, meant as a reference slide, but if these resources would be helpful for you, they are in the eventual PDF as well. So there is that. And we also offer library resources for proposal writing. And so that's sort of a specific style of writing. And so another way to use library resources is to use that powerful summon search for proposals or proposal writing. And you can get resources and ebooks sort of related to writing a good proposal. So there is also that option. Let me see. Oh. Did I just stop sharing? I'm sorry if I did.
No, we still see the presentation. You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Apologies.
We only have a couple minutes left, by the way, so.
Oh, gosh. All right. Yes. Oh, goodness. All right. Let me do. Okay. Is that okay? Oh, for Pete's sake, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry, we were really close to the end, I promise. We were super duper getting there. Okay. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we also have library resources for effective project management techniques and project development techniques. We have that patent site that I showed you before via the ME guide, but here's a slide that sort of goes through that kind of thing. And the U.S. Patent Office also has some introductory resources if you want to sort of get a feel for sort of how to search them and sort of the best ways to search them sort of before you embark on a search. And we also have the resources for codes and standards. And I included a link to the research standards, or the standards there, or the standards page there. And so that should give you enough sort of information to sort of begin looking for what you need sort of in terms of standards and stuff. And if you do end up needing one that we don't have either in our collection or access to, there is on that standards page a request form for that, and we will, since they are kind of expensive, we will work with your senior design advisor to sort of get access to that. So there's that option too, so don't worry if we don't necessarily currently have access to that, to the standard that you may need for your project. There's also recommended product and component resources. And so we recommend searching ThomasNet, the Thomas Register, for that. And so you can search for sort of bits and pieces that you may need for your project as well. So there's a list of those, and those are in the PDF as well. And so basically there's just the final section of this was just a link to the mechanical engineering guide and sort of a bunch of library resources and databases broken down by resource type. And so we have ebooks, journals, and serials, and specialized resources. And so these pages, these last few slides are just sort of the title of the resource, a link to it, and then sort of a short description of it. And so this is included in the PDF that I provided for download. So if you want to sort of look through stuff in terms of sort of specifics that you're looking for, this might be a good place to start for that. Basically, like here's the just sort of a slide for the mechanical engineering research guide, and so the link's right there, and so you can click through that. And so this is kind of how these last few slides are arranged. It's just sort of here's the title of the database and a link to it, and then generally sort of what it contains. And so depending on what kind of information you're looking for, if you're looking for an ebook, sort of bigger ideas and sort of more thorough sort of narrative of the research, there's a bunch of ebook resources. If you're looking for more articles, the next section would have been is articles and that kind of thing. So anyway, so this last glob of slides is mostly for just sort of more of a reference than really super presenting. So
Great. Yeah, I shared the slides in the kind of the Teams group that we have, so people have access to the slides. So
oh, perfect. Oh, that works out perfectly then. All right. Well then, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I do have a final slide if that's if that's super helpful, but basically this is my question slide. So
yeah, no, we appreciate you coming and helping. And I'll just say, as sort of the advisor for senior design, you guys are going to have to be experts in your various fields of expertise. You're all part of a team and going to be responsible for some portion of the design. So you need to be intimately familiar with the state of the art in your current design, right? So that involves doing research, understanding what designs of that ilk currently exist. There's not a lot of designs that haven't already sort of been pursued. So if, let's say, you're trying to design a transmission, open a book, okay? Don't try to design a transmission from scratch. Go find a resource that can tell you the best designs or the most efficient designs for designing a transmission. Or if you're looking at designing a nose cone for a vehicle, okay, well, those have existed, and get thee to the library and the resources. All right, so don't try to design every single thing from scratch when you know that these designs might already exist. And so this set of slides is going to be really helpful for you in establishing all of the previous state of the art that already exists for whatever thing you're going to be responsible for being the lead of on your team. Okay, so use the library resources. If you're stuck and don't really know where to go with your portion of the design, maybe walk over to the library and ask if there's a book on whatever you're designing. So it could be helpful, could be useful. And again, thank you, Lindsay, for coming in and talking with us today. So that'll conclude the seminar today. Got to get you out of here in the next minute or so. So thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, either ask me or Lindsay. Would be happy to help you. Okay, thanks for coming, guys. Bye-bye.